I've kind of always done like apprenticeship.
You didn't like school?
Just didn't go.
What surprised you about the plumbing industry? What do you like about it?
Everything that we do, you know, we save as many lives as doctors. People don't believe that, but it's true. It's
absolutely true.
Yeah.
Meet my buddy Matthew. Matthew, I met at the Great Northwest Adventure Show by Keller Supply in Seattle, Washington. So I've heard of him, I see him around, but we got to connect at the trade show. It was so fun to get to know him, and he's got some great insights for you about our beautiful trade, about being a plumber. Stay tuned. Matthew with Bob Larson Plumbing, thank you for being on the Dynasty Apprentice Show.
Nice. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So you're an apprentice?
Yep.
Awesome. How long have you been an apprentice?
Just a little bit over a year now, a year and like 3 months.
A year and 3 months, awesome. How'd you find plumbing?
Well, my buddy was HVAC tech, and then he was making good money at another company in Kent called Deere.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so I went there, worked there, and then I met a plumber, and he brought me to Bob Larson Plumbing.
Okay.
And it's been great there. You know, we have Bob and then Robert.
Bob and Robert are great guys.
And Micah too, yeah.
And Mike is good too.
Great leaders.
Okay,
yeah.
Very cool. So how did you find, you didn't go to college or did you go to college?
No, I've kind of always done like apprenticeships.
Okay.
Even before plumbing, it was machining apprenticeship. And,
good for you.
Yeah, so it was always just in different trades and whatnot.
Okay, how'd you figure that out? How'd you figure out you weren't going to go to college?
I just didn't go. You know, it just wasn't an option for me. It felt like, you know.
You didn't like school or?
It wasn't I didn't like school, but like working was more, you know, I like money, you know, there's that. So
yeah.
I don't like debt. That's one thing.
I love that. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, yeah. So we get in the trades, we actually get paid to learn and work.
Exactly.
We don't have to go to school and go in debt. And then a lot of these guys, they go to a 4-year university and they still have no experience.
Right.
So,
and they pay for that.
And they pay for that. Yeah. Very cool. All right. So you've been plumbing for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
So what surprised you about the plumbing industry? What do you like about it?
Just everything that we do, you know. People actually appreciate us, and sometimes you don't think before you really get into it, you know, whether it's getting them to be able to use the restroom at night or take a hot shower.
Yeah.
So you actually do make a difference, and you don't know.
I think that's one of the surprising thing that's is rewarding is beyond money is we actually get to help people. Right?
Yeah. Some people say like we save as many lives as doctors. You know, people don't believe that, but it's true. It's
absolutely true.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you've been in the trade for a year and a half. You've probably been around some good journeyman leaders and maybe some bad ones.
Yeah.
So let's not throw anybody under the bus.
Of course not.
What makes a good journeyman leader, teacher, plumber?
Just them never giving up. You know, is one thing I like to say is if you can't repair it, I mean, you should always fixing something, and you know, you should always have your way too. Like seeing somebody's mind actually work and go into it and like really totally cut something out and then do it totally different their way. You know, you could see them leave their mark. It's something like they're leaving their mark, basically.
I call it practicing your art.
Right. It is an art.
It is an art.
Especially on a repipe or whatnot. People do it all different.
Yeah.
All different.
And it's all code.
All code.
Usually.
All code. Usually. Nobody does any work without getting inspected, I heard.
Yeah.
I heard
that, yeah. Once upon a time. So what makes a bad journeyman from an apprentice perspective? Like what makes someone like you would rather not work with them today? Like what?
You know, they're just going through their own stuff. You know, maybe they're going through. People have their own lives. Obviously, these guys, they got families, lives, their own problems, so they go through their stuff. Maybe that affects them day by day, but as an apprentice, it's just like it's your your job to get them through their day, and that's how I see it. Whether you like that guy or not, you just have to get that customer with help.
Right. I love that because what I say is if you're with a guy that's in a hole and having a bad day, don't join him. Help him out, right?
Exactly.
Help him out. Lift him up. Carry him that day. He'll help you You're going to have a bad day one day.
Yeah. Oh, right? 100%. And I do. And they lift me up. So it goes both ways. That's
awesome.
The good thing.
So it's a team. It's a team effort.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. One thing that's unique about the trades, I think, is, a teacher, the people that taught us in high school, grade school, middle school, junior high, they had a 4-year degree. They were actually taught kind of how to teach. But us in the trades, we're out in the trades working. We get this license, and now we're a plumber, and now everybody expects us to be able to teach.
Right.
And that's a whole skill set.
Yeah, teaching's you totally got to try and understand how they learn, and that's
right.
That's not easy to do.
Right. So any tips on that, like how to be a better teacher from your perspective? You have a unique perspective, like. Yeah.
Well, right now, like I'm the lead apprentice at Bob Larson Plumbing.
Oh, good for you.
So like I have to kind of show the newer apprentices.
Awesome.
What's so scrapping. I know nobody wants to go in there. We collect all our scrap from our jobs. And, we cut it down, cut the brass from the copper, and then, separate it all. Nobody wants to do that, right? But it's how you explain it to them, like, you're taking apart this tankless and taking out this copper heat exchanger and separating and scrapping it. So you know how to get into that unit.
Beautiful.
And you know how to separate that. If you really explain it to them in the long run, and really show them the picture. A lot of these people don't see the picture, and it's really just showing them the picture, and it helps.
So you're taking apart the tankless to scrap it, but in that process, you're learning how to put it back together.
Right. You can hit it with a sledgehammer 20 times; it'll come apart. But how much more difficult is it going to be?
100%.
Unless you take the screws out of the valves on the bottom, and then
I love that idea.
Take it all apart.
One of my favorite plumbers, his name's Woody. He still works for me. But the way he taught his kid to be mechanical was he'd go to the Goodwill store and buy an old radio-controlled dune buggy or something and give him a screwdriver and say, take it apart. And his kid would take it all apart.
Right.
And he learned to be mechanical just by taking stuff that was broke apart and learn how things go together and then trying to put it back together.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Or Legos. Legos is a good way to instruct it too, like a faucet. Every time you get a new faucet, what's there in the box? An instruction manual, right? Yeah. Just like Legos. Who's going to open the box of Legos and not read it, how to instruct it?
Yeah, that's me. but when I was growing up, Legos were not what they are today.
Right.
To start with.
Right.
But I was surprised that my kid's now 14, but when I would get in these complicated Lego sets, I'd always get one that was over his age. And then I'd say, hey, Tyson, I'm so sorry. You're only 9 years old. I got you a 13 to the 15-year-old or whatever it was.
Go ahead and build Hogwarts.
You can't put this together. I'm sorry. You can't do this.
Right.
It's too, you watch this. And then he'd read the directions, and I was impressed at how he read the directions first.
It helps. It always helps.
I think it's necessary with those ones.
But even with some of the stuff, like just yesterday, I was doing track pipe. Track pipe, recess box in the wall, and just how I read the directions, exactly how I've done it before. I went through the class and everything, but I did it just how they did it, and it worked. You know? So little things like that. The instructions are always my best friend sometimes.
So I got to tell you a story. I have one of my closest, longest friends. He always read the directions.
Yeah.
And so one day, this is years ago, like 30 years ago, they got some four-wheelers at Thanksgiving time, and there was 4 of them. And we all got on the four-wheelers, and we're revving to go after dinner. And he's inside, and we're getting all upset because he's still inside. Where's he at? Mm-hmm. Well, he was reading the manual. And we were making fun of him the whole time. So then we go busting up in the woods, and it's me that crashed first. Yeah. So I come down, I was going too fast, and I ran into a tree. I didn't smash into it. I just didn't stop in time, and it tipped over. So we tipped it right side back up. No one's hurt. Everything's fine, but the thing wouldn't start. And so then my buddy Matt comes along and pulls up, and we're like, we can't get this thing started, and we're cursing it and everything. And he lifts up the seat, pushes some button, and it starts right up. And we're like, how'd you know? And he said, read the directions, dummy.
Right, right.
It took off.
And it's just as simple as that sometimes.
And he's always read the manual. And he always knows more than everybody else. Because when he gets out a new tankless model, he sits down and reads the freaking manual.
Right.
Well, it's simple as that.
Yeah, and even our Navian Bibles and our all that stuff, like it's all like that.
It's all there.
That's how I live by it, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell the apprentices that I work with, and even the techs sometimes. But
Very
they,
cool.
they know.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from a journeyman.
Yes.
Was to read the directions.
Yes.
Yep.
Simple as that. Read the directions.
Yes, sir.
All right, just a few more questions. For a kid in high school trying to figure out whether they should go to college or go get in a trade, do you think there's a way to know which direction you should go? Any hints on that?
Well, I got into, like I said, an apprenticeship. In my senior year, I was an apprentice for a machinist shop, working half time,
Awesome.
And then going to school the other half.
Okay.
So I knew what it was like, right off the rip, to be an apprentice and learn from somebody. And I guess it really just comes down to, I mean, nowadays in schools, they do have like STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, and math, where they do machinist program. It's not plumbing, but it's not electrician, it's not nothing like that, but it's still a trade.
Right.
And it's still you'd have to experiment in your school to really get your hands-on learning.
Right.
Because there are those options, hands-on learning, or you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's really just finding out in school.
Right.
That's how
if
I
woodshop's
saw
your favorite class.
Exactly. If woodshop's your favorite class, don't go to college.
Right.
100%.
Now, I did metal shop, and my chisel that I made was embarrassing. Like, it wasn't, you couldn't tell what it was.
Mm.
But in woodshop, I turned out some pretty cool, made snowboards and all sorts of cool stuff.
Let me see. I think, so.
No way.
Right
What do you
here,
got?
Right here was like one of the first things like I did in STEM, and that was etching out my name, you know, that was on a mill, on a Haas mill, you know, and it's just like a thin piece of metal. You have to take a micrometer and figure out the depth and how thick it is, and so you don't go through it all the way.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of keep that, you know, just to, that was the start.
Awesome.
That was realistically the start there.
Very cool. Very cool. Don't ever lose that, man.
No, yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
You know,
that's very cool. Very
little
cool.
special things.
Awesome. Okay, what about your future? Where are you headed?
I will be a plumber.
You will be a plumber.
Bob Larson Plumber.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes Bob Larson a great place to work? Let's give a shout out to Bob Larson.
Yeah, Bob. I wish Bob was here. I think he's here somewhere right now. But like I said, I've worked one other shop. I've heard great things about your shop.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And our shop, you know, 30 years in business. Shout out to Bob. And just the knowledge that comes behind that 30 years. You got Bob's 30 years, Micah's 15 years. Micah's a boiler specialist. Like, it doesn't seem like I can get that knowledge many places. It's untapped knowledge is what it seems like.
Absolutely.
It's like a gold mine of knowledge.
Absolutely. So you young guys, you guys don't lack capacity, you lack teachers. So if you've got a shop full of teachers, that's a great thing for an apprentice.
Yeah. Oh,
awesome.
yeah. Big time.
Plans for money, you're going to be making big money. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
If not, you are already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
What are you going to do with your money once you start making it? How are you going to invest? Any
it
plans?
Depends. I know Robert would tell me some ways, but, you know, Robert's, like, those guys are very good at how they live their life and whatnot. Yeah. So I take a lot of advice from them.
Awesome. So take advice from your mentors.
Yeah, very much. They know what they're doing.
Very cool.
They know what they're doing.
Well, Mathew, thanks for being on the show Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice. And enjoy the show. Have you ever been to a trade show before?
I only go golfing with the plumbers, but you know, I think I went to Ferguson Trade Show at Top Golf.
Okay. I'm so glad you're here because this industry is so vast. You're going to see cool tools, cool people, cool new products, ask people questions, get to know the reps because they're who you're going to call when you need help, and they'll remember you and you'll remember them. And so this is a great place to be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I've seen your TikToks too. I follow.
Awesome.
Give them a follow.
Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for being on.
Dennis.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for hanging out with me and getting to know Mathew from Bob Larson a little bit better. Yeah, if you like this kind of thing, like and subscribe. Would love your support. And tell me some comments. Let me know what you think. What should I ask? What should I not ask? Love to hear. Have a great day.